Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Karen. Roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Catalano,
Present.
Mr. Casey,
Present.
Ms. Fleischman, Mr. Yes, Ms. Johnston,
Coming.
Mr. Maybe,
Here.
Mr. Manos, Mr. Ross, Mr. Stamp,
Here.
Mr. Tinoco, Vice Chair Wright, and Chair White.
Here.
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. All right, now our first topic is, what we thought last month, we went over the, pretty much stuff, we usually go at the bottom. So the minutes from last month.
I'm gonna wait for Linda.
Yeah, we'll wait for it. She's coming.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Maybe. You should be here last month.
Linda?
Yes. That's okay. So, we had a motion to approve the minutes, so I'll have a second.
Second.
Any discussion, any corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same. Okay, minutes approved. Now, Tisha. Once she's passed, I remember we talked last month, about, in fact, a few months about doing modifications of the open facade, next program. I have some consent, so hopefully we can get some new with that.
This. I'm not sure what page it's on. Okay. I will go ahead and put it forward. So currently we have a facade and landscape program, and it was designed to enhance the overall appeal of the neighborhood by focusing on public facing improvements that contribute to curb appeal and cohesion of the community. These funds are intended only for painting and front yard landscaping, and anything above those, like if it's above $5,000, then the property owner has to. In the discussion of the program, we agreed that the awards are a one-time benefit and they can't be duplicated in future years. So what are the qualifying projects? Pretty much primary projects are detached single-family homes, and it has to be owner occupied and registered homestead. Secondary projects are we do allow for 2 properties per owner. Everyone, this is Fiona Johnson. She's the newest member.
Yeah, Justin, turned out, so we don't, well,
And Fiona is from Lakewood Neighborhood Association. We will also consider multi-family properties 2 to 4 units, but that is up to the executive director or his designee and but they also have to have a need for painting and landscaping. So far, we don't have any applications of this type. I've had people approach us and they wanted to know if they lived on the property, can they take advantage of the 5,000 instead of the 2,500? And the answer has been no for the few that I've received. These are the non-eligible items, so if it's not on this list, you can pretty much do it. We don't allow sprinkler systems, driveway gate, anything to do with the driveway. Removal of trimming or trees, they can get really expensive. Backyard landscaping, and we don't allow fencing.
I
Yeah,
go back to that, I'd like to see that. The non-eligible for multifamily, because when someone is residing in that property, that is their primary residence, that is the way it's considered under a mortgage and tax records. So they should be eligible under that, that's true, that to me, that's not an investor, that is a primary residence borrower, and it should be, in my opinion, recognized as a primary residence. If someone is residing there, every mortgage is a resident of primary residence.
so at the time when we discussed this program and created the criteria for them, the board at the time determined them. So that's what we brought to the CRE Board of Commissioners, and they approved the program as recommended. So we're here today to discuss what the current program is, the suggestions you made at the last meeting. And then should you decide to make other
You
recommendations
can do this?
or changes, we'll do it and we'll bring it up the same process. Yeah.
Deidre, do we have a view of how many of the properties actually multifamily in CRA districts? Because I think most of them are presently zoned for up to four or up to three. And so this just might be a large population that's being excluded unnecessarily. So I don't know if you have any data to help us when we get ready to.
The only data that I know we discussed at the time is using the redevelopment plan. If you go to the last page of the presentation, in our redevelopment plan, it identified, as of 2010, just within our boundaries, 32% were owners living into their homes, and 68% were rented occupied.
But under the definition that we just discussed, which is if the owner's there, but it's a multifamily, it's still considered a rental by definition of this today.
Oh, I see.
So the math, the logic there might have to be reviewed to make sure that it's going to.
Yeah, and just first to move on, I will say, and just my business alone in South Middle River, and this CRA, I have financed, I know 10 to 15 primary residents, multifamily in the past 12 months.
Primary residence, they own and rent the other units.
They own and
They live
live,
in
so that's,
the-
I know 10 to 15, probably more closer to 15 in this whole area that people are moving. That's how people are living there.
It's more than we what people buy in that in the neighborhood. So like if you were to look in Middle River Terrace or South Middle River, it's very common for people to have another dwelling that they rent out.
So would you want some data on if it's a single parcel with multiple units, including one unit that has a homestead exemption?
Yeah.
That's, Chris, that would be great.
So I think we can probably pull that, yeah, let's.
So how the process currently works today on page 17 of your backup. The property owner is involved at the front end, provides us with a quote, is involved in the initial inspection, oversees the contractors that complete the work, and then contacts us so we can take after pictures and do the final inspection to sign off on the check. The agreement is written in such a way that the property owner is accepting the funds, but they also will provide the quotes, and we just provide money to pay for the services after it's done. They sign also a hold harmless waiver, so they pick the work, they supervise, and we only provide them beautify and improve the perfect view of the neighborhood. So that's really the goal of the program, is it's a beautification for the neighborhood. I just want to add that at the time when we were still doing the rezoning project, there was sentiment within the advisory board that we need to do more for residents. Because the rezoning, if you can imagine the central city map, focused on the northwest quadrant, 16 to Sunrise Boulevard, and along Northeast Fourth Avenue and 13th Street. And pretty much the center and majority of Central City CRA is residents. So that's why we came up with the paint and landscaping. So we're already doing it in the Northwest, so we adopted it and then modeled it based on what kind of new. In the beginning, we had agreed to do a street by street approach. We wanted the property owners on one street to take advantage of the program, so when you drive down that street, you could see the beautification and the funding spent better. Couple of years went by and it didn't work out as much as we hoped because the majority of the properties are multifamily. So only a few single family owners took advantage, and on Fourth, we moved to Fifth, and then we finally opened it up to the entire CRA. So if you look at the data on the next page, since I think 2022, I believe, we've only had 15. And some of them are still outstanding, meaning I'm waiting for quotes. So they have agreements in place, we're still waiting for quotes. We haven't been successful in moving forward, but at least they have an agreement. And we've also discussed giving them one more year till the end of the fiscal year, and if they don't take advantage of it, we'll take it back into.
Said only 6 projects have been completed since 2022.
2, 4, 5, I mean, yep.
If we ever consider just giving the money to them directly without the quotes or requiring quotes?
No, they get the money when the work is actually completed, but it goes directly to the property owner and they pay out to the contractor.
Because it's such a small dollar amount, it's hard to get quotes for bidders on some as a business. So do we ever think about either reducing that contractor quote level or eliminating it and just making sure they do the work and be reimbursed?
Yeah, I really is it.
If I may, that was brought up and Congress was looking into that, and then I remember that the manager's office was actually going to just make sure that it wasn't a requirement.
So we would follow our city purchasing instead. We require to be 3 quotes. 3 quotes. And people may choose on the us and user permit. We show that we reached out to 3 people, 2 said they can't respond or won't respond, that at least covers the effort of. So maybe that's something.
And
That makes sense, thanks.
And having conversations with the procurement department in alternative to the people. I believe Thomas Manis had mentioned, why can't we just have few contractors on file? And that way just pick out those contractors to do the work. But I think the other part of that conversation has to be had with the legal department, because right now our agreement is with the property owner. We're saying, we're gonna give you this money, but you're gonna have to do the work, to look for the quotes, to select the one you want out of those 3 quotes for the type of services you want, and you're gonna have to be there to monitor it. So if we're trying to make it easy, because we're not getting any responses, we're gonna own that liability.
But I what I just heard Chris say, the city's process is to seek the quotes, not require the quotes. Look, that's a big difference. So they've gone out and solicited, they can prove that they've attempted to get it. Then that makes that a lot easier. They have to spend months chasing contractors, $2,000 quote, they just may not be able to obtain that, and then we just don't get the response, we don't get the action we're seeking to get. So I know it would be difficult to qualify suppliers and keep preferred suppliers, that's like a whole nother cottage industry of activity that would have to be managed by this office.
Yeah, I think that there's a commitment of commencement, something of that nature under, I think it was statute 713, whereby there are so many like problems that we, reviewed. That's why we kind of went with the procurement process of the three quotes because we didn't want to fall into that liability, taking that on. So I think that we just need to reach out to people to make sure. Before we make any-
So we'll explore. So my thing is, I understand where you're coming from, and I also understand the type of challenge from the property owner side as well as the vendor side. Some of the issues they're having with as vendors is they provide a quote, then they'll have to negotiate with the property owner whether or not they can pay for the entire thing. Now, if the property owner doesn't have the entire money, they'll tell them, well, the city's gonna give me 5,000 guaranteed, but you have to finish the work first. But once I do my inspection, get the proof of pictures, submit it to our finance department, it still have to go to like full city finance and then processing. It could take anywhere from 3 additional weeks from when it's completed for them to get the check in the mail, the property owner to get the check. And then the property owner is responsible for paying the contract. Like, it has nothing to do with us. Like, once we issue the paycheck,
Yeah.
then they have to pay. So it's like additional steps, but at least for us, from staff standpoint, we did our part. Like, this is free money. You sign an agreement, you sign a full harmless, you're responsible for maintaining that work. We're just paying you to help you beautify your house. See what I'm saying? So those other, we'll discuss with the attorney and procurement to see, what we can do. Because the HCD department are doing similar, where they have pre-screened contractors. And when I asked that with the procurement department, there was other requirements that they had to satisfy and it was grant related. With us, I just don't know, those are conversations that we still have to be had.
Is there a way to follow up with since we have so many pending quotes, to follow up with the individual owners to see what specific issues they're having with the quotes, so that way maybe we can assist with the issues they're having, because maybe it is something as simple as they're not getting a response, or
It's really that,
the
what
they're not willing to wait the 3 to 4 weeks.
it's
So
usually
they
that.
don't lose out on the funding.
It's usually that, so what I recommend is always that they can look it up online, as long as they're licensed and insured. Then they can get quote from them and they can submit those names to us. And what I also do is, if it's a contractor that we've paid in the past or worked with, I'll send them that contact. So, I mean, I'll do whatever I can certainly follow up with them.
Nicola.
So I was gonna comment on that, my neighbor, part of the, program, he's pending, he didn't finish. His problem was really trying to find contractors, so he just did landscaping, he did, trees planted in front and the turf, the grass. And, I think it's, insured and licensed requirement that was so hard to find. I had to go through the successful participants in the program, knock on their door and ask them who did they hire. That's how he found. But my question was, what are we trying to achieve with this requirement of insured and license? Why can't people just go to any landscaper and do the landscape?
When we discussed the program, it was one of the requirements that the legal department.
But was that just a standard stipulation of, because you just said that you're trying to separate the liability of the city by paying them directly, so they're like, it's just the standard that was there?
We can, but I think it's the safest mechanism, right? Especially since you don't want to hold the city liable for anything that, and also the homeowner then is required to maintain it after it's completed, and that's kind of savings.
I just wanna say this, the spirit of this funding is changing the neighborhood. It's been 3 years and we have 6 homes. And the money is sitting here. We're helping the people that need to be helped. We've gotta look at the barriers and figure out what can we take down so that we can have change, because how many more years are in our CRA? 8? Can't wait 3 more years to figure this out. It's $5,000.
Let's say financing someone and someone who just grew that with $4,000 for fencing and fixed just this past weekend. To find someone to do that type of work, and I've done a lot of little things in my house. People are not, and I, in the industry for 20 years, you're not gonna find a licensed contractor to even touch this. It's not worth their time, it's not worth their money, it's nothing that they're gonna blow off. You're not gonna find that, it's even 10,000. You're not, because I'm gonna tell you, 90% of the people that do my work are not licensed. Under 10, they're a handyman, and that's all that's gonna do this work. So if we expect this work to continue and for it to even be effective, we can put 15,000. We can put whatever we want on this program. And until we drop some of these barriers, we're gonna be sitting here this time next year with maybe another 3 or 4 people. It is a cumbersome process, and I've been quiet here, but as your chair, I've got to say this, and someone who deals with this every day, it is a cumbersome process. The majority of homeowners that need to do this type of work, most of them don't even know. We're talking about getting people in a neighborhood, the neighborhoods that are elderly too. We have people that don't know, they're the average working people. I don't mean that's wrong. We're not in, a rich neighborhood that people know all of this stuff. They don't know it. Now you're putting cumbersome processes on them. And I understand the protection of the legal of the city, but at the same time, being at our neighborhood and our community. And what we've done here is put parameters that cannot, it's very obvious for the past 3 years, and we probably do need to carry this back. And I say carry anything back, we need to strip some of these parameters out and see if we can. Because we can't continue this process. I don't care if we raise, I've been thinking about this now for months. We can do whatever we want to raise the money, but until we strip some of these smaller parameters, the contractor, the 3 bids, we're gonna be sitting here by the end of this year, and we're still gonna maybe have 2 more. It's just not happening. It just doesn't happen. And I know that government moves slow, but this is small potatoes in an area where people right now really are handyman work in our areas. And I think most people sitting here is gonna say the same thing. You're not finding a contract for $5,000 to $10,000. It's a handyman.
Well, we've had success with the Northwest Progresso, where they utilize the same contractors over and over. So I mean, I think that that's something we can explore to look at those contractors. But it was a successful program.
And what did they do different? Because I think since we followed them, I wasn't here when this was first created, but I would assume we should be following all the things that were successful. How do we see, can we do a review of what worked well for them and
Yeah,
Well, and these,
reapply?
and a lot of the houses. Like,
Well, we're understanding the requirements of multifamily, but past that, what else did they do that we can reapply?
and it was the same amount for.
Yeah. Oh, 7,500, that's still a challenge, opportunity for us. We've got ours much less, which this was done 3 years ago with inflation, worth a lot less.
Progresso, at some point in one of the CRAs, turned it over to that group that came to speak.
Yes.
They did.
yes, but because the paperwork comes to me to sign off on it. I've noticed that we utilize the same painting and landscaping contractors, which makes it easier and quicker. So I think that just needs.
Was that list of contractors communicated to the neighborhood event or during the program?
Well, that specifically, I'm not in the weeds of that, but just looking at the paperwork, I just recognize the same contractors.
In this neighborhood, a lot of it. They would have gone out of their way to find.
They were all licensed?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I have to review for their license and sure.
What about if you have the flyer say like previously used contractor, instead of saying we recommend it?
Yeah, you don't want to recommend.
And say previously used. So this way it's not a city liability. You're just saying we did it before, not even telling them to use it.
Well, here's
So
the
when
thing,
I,
These are all the contractors that I've seen quotes come across my desk, but it's no way like not tied to these.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to pick somebody new. But you can reach out to them and I give them the phone number, I give them emails. Cause we don't want to, for them to be unhappy, they will see you at the hearing.
We do a lot of HUD rehab, and they have to have inspectors, HUD inspectors. And we just give a list and say, these are the HUD inspectors that are approved. That's it, call these people. We don't say that, because we have a lot of, who do you recommend? And I give the list of, here's your contractors, that's approved, your HUD contractor. You have to do the whole consultants, they're called our HUD consultants. Here's your consultants, here's where they are, here's your area. And we call, we don't, and in our side for HUD side, we don't ask or give you any recommendations. Here's your list. So maybe we just, here's a list. When we send out, when you become a bid, you get awarded, maybe to send out the bid, because the contractor thing, not having people, I think is a huge hindrance of stopping people from doing anything. And the 3 bids. I mean, even I don't know how they got 3 bids, but and I don't know how long ago that was. But I'm just gonna say right now, getting 3 bids for anything is even probably the people you're using, because we're in a different time then versus we are now. And the market is totally different than it was back whenever it worked over at Progresso Northwest. And I'm just gonna bring my experience into it. You're in a different world right now. So what may have worked over there and been successful, it's not as easy right now because people just are busy.
Okay. Progresso Village, was it during COVID that you were having all of these projects closed? Because that's a totally different.
I just approved one.
Okay. Well, my question was, are we advertising to the project of this?
Any advertising done,
Yeah, I mean, they want work and they want to fill their schedules, but they know that this is money. I just think that we should think about, are there local businesses that want to target with flyers as well, like a different flyer saying, hey, if you have people that meet these qualifications, they can help drive work and projects as well.
That would be the best thing ever. Because you're not gonna get, I here for almost 3 years. The list is so short. Never gonna get anywhere. If I check a book, there were 10,000, that will draw people to it.
Yes.
It's got to. Because without, we don't get it done.
I was gonna say, thank you, please. If contractors actually went, I mean, we all get fired, maybe in my door. Turn off, we'll be in your neighborhood, let me trim your tree, like.
They can say, hey, if you're gonna paint, or if you've been thinking about painting, maybe they're to do concrete or whatever. You want paint, the city has a program, they know they can get paid, they can almost solicit the business on their own behalf, knowing that maybe they live there and they own it, they can get it. Just a thought is, can we look at this differently, because we desperately need this in the. Just wanna figure, I think Fiona's idea of talking to folks and hearing from them directly, but maybe we should talk to a few contractors too to find out, why aren't they on?
What they were.
Oh, where are they? What will be
Completely. If we can give yesterday, Jeff, evidencing that they emailed 3 contractors for this project, and submit that as that's helpful too. We give them a list of contractors that have done the visit before, no recommendations. They reach out to all 3, evidence that to us. And then we can start the process, even if they don't get any bids in, or 1 or 2 bids in.
I agree, Christopher, that's the biggest problem. Is, Vanessa, we can give all those contractors we want, getting them to call back now, good luck. And it's the fact, it's good luck. So you get 1, you're in a ringer. I mean, so I think if we can work, like Chris said, if we can figure a way to work around that, which we looked at, I think that would be I think that would be a real start to getting this done, and moving it forward. I think you'd see a big progress.
Legal as to whether or not there's anything we can do.
That, I think, is something that really needs to, they need to have that in order to get us to fiscal cover. But I will ask, let's make sure.
What, 10,000 maybe is different, but 1,000.
Insurance requirements or like, for example, your neighbor, that he did some work, but with a contractor, for whatever reason, trees needed an arbor license. So he had to drop that contractor and that he needed a license arbor and install trees. So I will ask the question.
You mentioned something about.
Yeah, so there is a notice of amendment under section 713 that I'm not an attorney, but I do remember us discussing it in great detail. So we can explore that. Under 713, under the statute. So really goes into detail. I'll have to pull that up and discuss in detail as to why the 3-bid process is required and all of the other.
Is that the notice submitted to
We have to, so we don't want to, because the CRA can be then blamed for improper payments. There's so many different nuances, so
You have to be a disclaimer in the. As far as city being liable, that they're responsible.
we can check with legal.
Information that we're going to check ready for next week, when we have the meeting on the 7th, would be the best thing. We need to move forward. We're not moving forward, guys.
And we can also.
We're stagnant.
Yeah, and that's why we were talking today at the last meeting. You guys recommended looking at the program, try to see what we can do to change. These are the suggestions you gave me. You wanted to allow the previous owners to reapply for additional funding. Should we increase it to $10,000? And you wanted us to find an alternative to 3. So that's what we're currently doing. It's just a matter of the expert in the subject matter, procurement, and legal. And so far, I've had some meetings with procurement, but legal, once I have something to finalize, maybe we can not make a decision today, just discuss the program and some things, and then I'll jot down some notes. When we have a fuller board that's independent, that might be a better decision when we're more prepared with the details. Comparing the current and projections, so kind of like in a snapshot, you can see it's 5,000. It's a matching with investor property investor owners. And then you're suggesting to increase the fund to $10,000, but is that per eligible property? Or do we want to follow the criteria? What I'm hearing from you is it's might be better to explore 10,000 per property period, whether it's whether it's investor property or one. Also, returning applicants are only applicable to newly added eligible items and are limited to 5,000. That means if they received 5,000 last year, they can only get to an additional 5,000 for new things, not for repainting and landscaping. Okay, good. Lifting restrictions on non-eligible items. And then
That was, I wasn't, I think I missed it. What was the discussion on this, or like, where, could you mind giving like the 30-second analysis?
no, we didn't discuss it.
Oh.
It was done, like, let's look at the program, so that's what we're doing today.
We did mention some of the known eligible items that we had. We did talk about that.
So these are what I heard from last meeting in driveway
Yeah,
and fencing.
yes.
Well,
Okay.
actually,
But I wanted to list.
Lighting.
Lighting is not eligible, correct? Well, it's not.
curious.
But we can't add lighting. Well, I would just like to, if you've got fencing and driveway, I would also like to add lighting for consideration of us to understand, because when we talked about having a walkable neighborhood at night, it's very dark with just the city lights, and a lot of the homes do not have their own. That would create more security, and I think so just a better,
Lighting is like lighting attached to the building.
yeah, like read cameras or landscape lighting attached to the building, just investigate that.
On that topic, if I'm sold my own lighting, and Chris, you brought up, like, people doing their own work. Like, why can't we, make that? Basically, give them money back for the receipt of purchasing the equipment, they install their own, they don't need to quote and.
So they can get with, like if they buy ring or lights and put them out, they can.
What I think that, like, self-improvements under this. I think that you want to see this program go further. These small things, very good, Nick and Chris. Self-improvements, that's what it should be, that we get reimbursed for self-improvements. You know, I think that, to me, will bring this a long way.
I've got a comment. Have you done a survey of what people need or want for this program? I mean, we're just getting it for what we think. What do they think? What do they?
Oh, it was.
I mean, what they want may not be eligible, but at least we know and identify, you know, all, I mean, I'm figuring out all that's eligible is painting and landscape, but now we can't do backyard landscape.
No, Chris, the backyard, you can't see the backyard.
So it's just painting and front yard landscape.
Front yard landscape.
So do they really want that?
It's a beautification.
I think the point is, lights and to.
Yes.
So that's why we're making the decision.
We are.
We think they.
And the houses are painted and have driveways, street fences.
See, can I go back to this, the fencing in the front real quick? I get fencing. But when we're trying to do beautification, there should be some inclusion of fencing in the front of the house. You know, we're talking about beautification. I get the back of the house and not foreseeable. But when I ride down my street next over to you, your neighborhoods, hideous fences out front. I don't care what the heck you do to those houses. You can paint them, you can put the most beautiful thing, and they got a hideous but fence out in front.
I think that was the program did notification with your.
I will say that. This program before, we were avoiding the type of information that we. Until recently, I didn't know you needed a permit. Sprinkler system, it's just 5,000 doesn't go a long way, and if you want to really, make a block look beautiful, painting and landscaping will change the look and feel of the house.
And guys, I don't want to dampen anything, but the CRA, based off of my knowledge, cannot pay for anything self-improvement. Yeah, so I mean, we can still,
You should check.
we can have, based off of my experience, we cannot pay for it. Yeah.
Worth a try.
So so where is that stated?
So there's a CRA. It has to be also in the CRA.
So that's where all's here.
I think the diagnosis is that we're trying to move forward.
For so long and so much. We think about everything, we have to consider, just consider reinforcing the core purpose of the program, so again, it's beautification. not renovation, home improvement fund. That's really not what we do. Again, majority of our funds are tied in incentives, we are to attract new businesses, types of services into the area, trying to fix up those existing commercial properties. When the values go up, we also get funds, and therefore we can create programs that can benefit different areas that we have, the residential area.
So on the fencing idea, it requires permit to install new one, what about just painting the old one, like chain link fences, the ugliest I've ever seen, but if you paint them black, all of a sudden they kind of see through them, they're kind high school, they have chain link fence black, it kind of gets some bust. Fence, but, you know,
For the beautification, they have the hedges where you can use the. And also for the trees, they have the, the old urban forestry, I've been going to their board meetings. Trees for a lot of, so a lot of homeowners can do that. Get the trees into their, well, the different ways that they can get. The beautification incorporated, so they don't have to get it.
Can we solicit some of those vendors, get them to come over? 'Cause I think, like, how do we identify?
Whole program that caused for it, reinvigorated, is city. Trees. Right away. So the tree mitigates trust fund, where somebody takes out a tree, they don't decide they can't really trust. Then trust existing things, other property. So right of ways, so that program is starting back up. Okay. Right.
If you put that people near property, that will give them.
And I, maybe, I said,
this on our. Okay, well, let's focus on our money maybe.
Which I think she's trying to say conjunction.
Yeah,
Like we can point towards it.
Yeah. If they have an issue with, we don't have the money for the trees, they can. We can do for them, and they can. You like how many.
Well,
Then we can.
what about the idea to fund the painting? Can we include that? It doesn't require
Anything?
just paint.
Hey, you can add some.
We can add it.
I mean, if they already have a fan.
Yeah, it's not really painted, it's more.
And before moving forward, there was months ago, bringing. Clarence was looking at ways that we can incorporate some offices into some commercial. We discussed that, we had discussed this, he was coming back to us, and that's when the whole lighting came over handy, it looks like they took care of their own lighting. Thank you, but
That's
that's,
still.
but so that still works, because
Separate program.
that's a separate
It's for
thing. Perfect. But the biggest thing when you're going back, and we'll go back to this, is the 2 to 4 unit. Being that was a primary residence, I think that when Antoinette said. If you look at neighborhoods, when I look at the campus, I'm looking at Northwest and Progresso, and I look at South, this CRA. We have per capita, I think if you go around, a lot more multi-families than the average neighborhood. So that could be another reason that we keep saying we don't look good, or we've eliminated everyone that has primary residences. Then we've eliminated a lot of people in our CRA.
Did you talk to people like in about why it's the neighborhood? You know why I know I chose the neighborhood, it was on for 3 units.
Yes.
There's about 2 lots in the neighborhood because of that, and I know a lot of people, most of my neighbors have an income property or income unit on the property, and they live in it.
And you've even cut out, and I would say not just go to residential, just primary residence for the 10,000. But I would like to see it brought to the CRA to include all 2 to 4 units. Because I don't understand why we are excluding a 2 to 4 unit. It is not a commercial property, it is a residential property. And if we're here to aesthetically please and bring back our neighborhoods, I can take you down 6 streets tonight that 5 of those, on those 6 streets, a good majority of those properties are multifamilies in areas. And if you're excluding all those, Linda can do her house, I can do my house, and you got 3 multifamilies that you're not allowed to do anything to. So I think that investors will take the money, you know, that's my opinion.
All of that now. Well,
Let's go.
never changes, let's do that.
So someone like to make a motion that we include multifamily.
I make a motion.
You, oh, you go through the presentation.
Can you finish?
Like- Who had discussed that we put this all together and then we come back?
Well, can I just say, I was the last time I was physically here 3 months ago, and that's what we talked about it. And then,
About that program changing it?
and we've been saying we're gonna come back the next month or the next month, and we're still talking about it, and this is not a video, I just wanna say, it is on time. But what can we do? Take down the barriers on timing and access. I think that's the question I have. There's a general interest in it.
We'll send you care, if there's things you would like to vote on tonight, she can bring back next month, if there are things that this board feels they would like to vote on tonight, whether it's 1, 2, or individual. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Second, the motion is to allow 2 to 4 units in the program. Yeah, sorry.
For the $10,000.
It's so.
Well, with parameters that are in the,
So right now,
Oh, did you get that approved? Sorry.
I mean, these are just recommendations and we still need a vote.
That's so good. We have this window right now, paid for the next months, so
Yeah,
they
they
can
can,
have suggestions.
Yeah.
Okay.
here's the program, so $5,000 for. Split into 2 types of projects, right? Page, what else?
I'd like to say something different, maybe. CJ,
Yes.
you know, I'm trying to get a handle on what this beautification that we decide how the neighborhood should look. And I'm wondering if any of these applicants who are just kind of stalling and it's all pending, do they have any idea? Do they know what this might look like, the beautification of their neighborhood? And what is acceptable, what, you know, the city approves of?
Standard.
Yeah, like a standard, like to present to this person or to these people interested, this is what your neighborhood look like. And this is what you can do, so you could narrow the field down to the picture. So they could grasp that reality. And then we
Reel this back in for a second. You can ask a question after a motion, and I have a second on the floor, no problem. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have discussion pertaining to the topic of the motion that's on the floor?
So the motion is the 2 to 4 units. You want them to be participating in the program?
Yes.
Okay, right now, there's 2 types of projects. There are 5,000 for homestead properties, owner lived in properties, and then a matching for 2,500 for tenant occupied.
I think, here's your motion, I think that's, we adhere to the program guidelines that are currently in place for single family homes. Yeah.
24 units to be allowed to be eligible for what a single family home is eligible.
Okay. Karen, you're there.
Well, it's been changed, you guys are evolving. I can tell you what I need to say, but I can't say it for you. So, we rather restate it, or restate it, I mean, it's better to have to. No, yeah, because I'm here.
One thing to repeat it. The motion.
What I'm proposing is to give the multifamily properties the same kind of opportunity for the $10,000. They also should put up something to go along with these improvements, same type of improvements as a single family home.
So, Ed, you're probably, I think it's simple, simple motion would be that proposing to allow 2 to 4 units, to allow 2 to 4 multifamily units, the same parameters that are in the single family.
That's exactly what I meant.
You accept that, that's your motion? Oh,
Cause there's two separate ones
that's
now.
what I'm saying, is what the parameters that's in the guides. 2 to 4 unit properties. No, 2 to 4 unit on, 2 to 4 unit multifamily properties, the same guidelines that are in the current guidelines for single family residences.
Right, but there's two types of funding levels, there's a 5,000 and there's a 2,500 there.
But if I say the same guidelines that are in the guidelines, so you would still be the same. You would have a you would have a 2 to 4 unit. That would people primary, and then you have the 2 to 4 units falls into the secondary, which is investors. It's the same thing.
Okay, so if there's no owner occupied 2 to 4 unit, then they would hypothetically, if it's 10,000 max, they would only get 5,000. Okay,
They would fall under the same guideline that non-owner occupied single families fall under. That's what it means.
so we're not changing the parameter for qualified for primary project versus secondary. We're just making a motion
To include,
to include 2 to 4 units in the, okay.
yes.
Got it.
I have a question. Are we also saying that owner occupied is defined as it currently is for the 2 to 4 unit?
That's what we're saying, to allow, if you just consider a new occupied. That's what a motion thing.
Okay, so I have an example, a neighbor's property, there are 2 units, but it's 2 families, well, 2 generations of a family, been living there for 30 years. They're not eligible for the program. Homestead,
Right, exactly.
they could use their agent. Yeah.
If we get it passed.
We only have people like.
They would qualify, if one of them has their name on the property, they would qualify for the primary template getting the max. If none of them have their name on that property, they would qualify for the secondary project.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you like a roll call?
Any more?
Roll call?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Catalano,
Yes.
Mr. Stans,
Yes.
Mr. Casey,
Yes.
Ms. Fleischman,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Maybe,
Yes.
and Vice Chair White. right?
Yes.
Tongue twisted today. Right.
Yes.
It's been
So go ahead, Jordan, with the question.
I was just wondering about perhaps putting a package or presentation together to potential applicants to give them a picture of what it might look like that the city would approve of for beautification of their neighborhood. And so if they could actually see something, identify what it is, painting, front yard landscape, much like when we receive presentations here, and we could see what our Middle River Terrace, 13th Street might look like. Perhaps that might be like a rendering of some sort. Just generally, lot.
Yeah. But I know this idea that you said about using the trees as like a barrier, having pictures that show that, when you say land, people don't just think of that. But Yeah, it looks really good. It visually appealing.
This, I think from younger and going really.
Oh, fine. I mean,
Yeah, and I mean, that has been implemented and people have been put, but maybe. It seems like it's not enough for people, so we haven't been keeping it on, are we kind of enforcing that or just kind of?
No,
You study before and after picture?
we use before and after pictures.
The week is. So we can just like copy and paste them on a flyer and.
Yeah.
But this is what they've done.
Yeah.
Sure. You can do the same, but maybe also try to call, posting in a front
Get heard into.
to see what your.
Yes.
That's great.
If I heard one can be like, oh, I don't see this.
getting just these ideas that get people excited, is what they can get. So we think landscaping, I think sod, not beautiful, this, that are great barriers.
I think it's valuable. Good question. Not important.
Yeah.
This, so you're, how do we take an application? Do we look at the facade of the front yard of these and say, you know, you're asking for trees, but your house, you have grass, you have bare spots, so you sort of guide that conversation and say.
No, because
You're asking.
yeah, I see what you're saying. No, they send us, they fill out an application and they pretty much, they decide if they want painting and landscaping or just painting or just landscaping.
Thing.
You're going like a tree.
You know, yeah, like making sure their these are straight. Like you're not. No.
Because I know like code can look and see, like what's the process, code, when they come out, they'll say, hey, you don't have enough ground cover, you don't have.
So, yeah, good.
Yeah, you know, like when we put tree, I'm thinking on the story, the neighbors school and that neighbor, that code actually does.
They will go and tell you don't have enough truck, I think maybe it, I mean.
People were complaining, but the neighbor reported me and now I have a code violation thing. I. Yeah. Maybe. I'm like, wait. Yeah. But those codes
would say, maybe.
So code doesn't, is not involved in that sense, they could, however, the current process right now is they submit an application, once it's the contract is executed. Agreement, then we let them know, okay, you can go out, find your quotes and just reach out to me when you have them. So when they reach out to me and they already have them, they already know what they want, so the quote is for what they want. What kind of painting, what kind of landscaping, and they know their limit is 5,000, so they get a bare minimum that fits within that quote and whatever above it, they're willing to pay out of pocket, so agree to it and sign the contract.
My point was a little different, it was like a consultant code, I don't want people to get a code violation if they apply for the program, I just think. Like even a packet, like there's certain parts of the code that say, this is what you should have, but you have the opportunity, make sure you're looking at those things, like with the application, can we just. Give them what the code requirements are for painting, I mean, I'm just. No,
I can do that, we actually, I submitted a whole bunch of brochures and flyers. And a map to say my area, the whole thing, how they have it out. And I think they just kind of spread it around, so I had people calling from this side of town, everywhere, I'm like, oh no, really out their area, like maybe by the beach or something, like, who cares, it's only for the. So, I mean, I can look into that.
So maybe it sounds like you hit, or packages in order between pictures, images, what it might look like for you, code compliance, and maybe a list of approved local contractors. that the city approved.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to go searching, I mean, many people don't have the skill and, you know, to really find legitimate contract.
I know.
Yeah, we can look at this program, I mean, I get it, CJ, it's no shortage of things to do on that, I get, I'm sure you have, but I mean, I'm gonna say it. Yeah, this program is failing, it's a failure. Like, it's just not doing what it's intended to do. So we're throwing out anything that we can to try to get, I think, a packet that educates people, educate them, be confident, take some barriers down.
Yes,
Give them access to a list that could be,
just a friendly.
That stage, are we, you don't know if there's. We can try to, whatever.
Can I just say this? If you put a package together, I will personally deliver it. You can go door to door and hand these.
That next week, right?
Next month.
You'll make your recommendations, then we need to find out if, you know, all.
It's the whole process.
Then the attorney. Agreement and, you know, insert all those new parameters.
Then you have to cut the trees down, then you have to cut the ink and.
We have to get on the city commission meeting or Terry board meeting. That's when everything's ready to go. Then it goes there, they approve it, so in 20 they start.
Well, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So Christmas.
All right, well, you guys, I don't even need it. I was kind of like, you need to consider these before you make this decision, but you guys already. Change that. You don't need to know about, hey, be careful, you know, we have budget limitations. Just think about this, $150,000 in the program. We knew we could only afford with $5,000, 30 weeks. Now that it's 10, it goes down to 15 weeks every year. So keep that in mind. And then matching contribution, that's important. I mean,
Contribution.
now we still have the same ones, right? 100% versus the 50. About tree trimming and backyard improvements. The thing is, and I just want to remind you, it's a beautification program, so you need to be able to see it. If it's items in the backyard, we don't want to waste money on those, you know.
That includes back like a corner, or it's kind of still looking.
If it's visible, we're saying if you talk about illegal items, we need to be able to justify it. Is it visible? Does it?
Right, curb appeal, I think that's the curb appeal, I think that's.
Beautification to the whole neighborhood. If your backyard is fenced in from the back, it's beautiful. I can't see it, but how does that? Okay, these are a couple of questions.
Cases. Number two, yeah. Which are things we actually brought up a few months ago, so that.
Okay, this question was, actually, we should take by the member moves away, we should. Does anyone want to take a bathroom break really quick? Because, estimate moves.
Sure.
down.
Okay, for
Never know, right?
Yes. What's the purpose of it? What is Good.
That's good.
Okay, so we'll just jump to the discussion points. We've already decided on number two.
Yep.
So number one is should limits remain between homestead owner and investor funding limitations? I believe the answer is yes, right? The only
Yeah.
difference is number two, we're gonna allow multifamily properties to be included in the program following the same investor funding limitation. All right, the third one, I do need a motion and a second and a vote on it, is 10,000 for all properties for funding.
Between the two types.
Right. Cause you've already voted multifamily to follow the homestead owner investor limitation, 150. I mean, 100% and then 50% match. But the question now is it 10,000 for all property, whether homestead, investor?
I thought we motioned last month that it was up 10,000. We.
Given in the minutes, you only, we made a motion
We
to
discussed it, didn't we?
return.
Turn around.
So you're saying that there will be no.
Well, I'm just gonna try to simplify this, can we just change the parameter that was 5,000 to 10,000 and make that decision?
I was gonna say,
Did you wanna say something?
No, let's do that first.
So we get permission to change the 5,000 amount to 10, to increase it to 10,000,
I second that.
keeping the same parameters.
keeping the same thing.
Right. I'm second. Okay. Do you need, Karen, you got that motion?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So the motion is to keep, or increase the parameters from 5,000 to 10,000. Of the program. Okay. With that said, is there any further discussion?
Who's the seconder?
That's great. We can just do a voice vote on this.
My question is for the investor owned, will it be half? Cause right now it's a number, should it?
Oh, yeah, 50%, let's 50%.
Yeah, I think in my respect, it's the same parameters we have for the program, and what we just approved to increase, to change the parameter, and then
Yeah,
But I think it's
find as percent.
Oh, is it 50%?
50%,
Yes.
50%.
Is that how it was?
Yeah, so if we're keeping the same funding parameters,
Okay.
like.
I would send that.
Okay, so let's have a question, I'm gonna call for a roll. This will be fun. All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Okay.
Fourth one is should program allow repeat applicants with new changes? You already voted on this last month.
Yes.
And your motion last month was, can somebody find the minutes and look it up? So we can just make sure.
Yeah, I think wasn't it like 50%?
5,000.
Cause Olga was here and she asked, can I apply again and you want their motion to? In the program, we specifically say awards are a one-time benefit.
Yeah, additional funding for other projects. Subject to parameters, yes.
But okay, so. We only agreed, you didn't make a motion on 3 to 5, so let's just take that for now.
It's just agreed.
Right. So we can just make a motion. The program allow applicants, because awards are a one-time benefit, typically funding is restricted in future groups.
I move that we allow applicants to reapply up to the limit agreed last meeting, which is $10,000.
Do we need to add that only for the newly, or for the benefits that they can? You add that? They gotta do it again, but they just, they never allow.
For projects not previously covered.
Yeah. So returning applicants are only able to apply for newly added labor up to 5,000. Assuming they already received 5,000.
Up to the total value of 10,000.
Okay, that works.
Okay, then.
Because if they weren't,
Oh, I see, yeah, up to the total value.
Did you get?
Yes. Second.
Nicholas, second.
Any further discussion? Okay, then, don't think that needs to, roll call, all in favor? Same. Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I, motion carried.
So we discussed the new stuff, like the lighting, the new items, but
Did you say you have to investigate this stuff? Something about personal.
It's not covered, but if you,
work is, like we talked about doing it, people doing it themselves, that's one item to look into.
yes, I don't think the CRA can reimburse for personnel. So that's statute, but
Right, no, I'm saying, I understand what you're saying now, when you're saying it's a CRA, it makes sense.
so
But
But they were
what,
two.
yeah, so that's one, the other thing is what new, like, benefits or things that we're gonna include. Have we
do you want,
ever specified them?
do you want to vote on the non-eligible items?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can vote on them today, but, so I wanted to add that maybe we can. Would we include like permitting costs for the 10,000 to pay for those? Okay.
Great. Yeah.
It won't be enough. But I mean, are we concerned about that?
Permitting cost in as a part of the 10,000 or over and above?
I mean, would it be, for example, for the commercial incentives, we don't pay soft costs, so that includes permit fees, design fees, all this other stuff. We only pay for improvements to the physical building or the footprint of the site.
You
Right.
don't do it because you can't do it.
We don't do it because it's soft cost, we only do like hard construction costs, like making to the building.
The permits, you guys, the permit fees are based on value improvements being made, so I think in this case, your permit fees aren't going to be exorbitant. There's a minimum fee of $100 and something base fee, and but the fee is 0.7% of the job. So for these types of improvements, that's what will pay back to the homeowner, and they cover those costs.
So it's not even mentioned.
It's not, that open sign worth it. I mean, it's up, you all are the, can you, if that's all it is? You can't afford $100 some dollars.
So on this, we talked about lighting to Nicholas' point. Was there anything else that is not on that list that we need to discuss?
Painting the fence.
Oh, painting the fence.
Yeah, that's not.
Why do we exclude driveways?
If I think about to discuss that, yeah. Just making sure was there anything else that we want, that we can vote on it.
What's encouraged with the permitting and all that stuff with driveways, what's the what we've seen away things that we needed to do, driveways.
They just had a neighbor do the drive, they said, it was 3 months worth of permitting.
Yeah, because of the swell, the drainage, all of that stuff, I think that's why we talked about last month, I think that's why we stayed away from it. It's because of all of that, it's a little more involved.
So I,
Because, yeah,
So I would say if you're installing a brand new driveway, or that agreement require swale, benches, other costs. If you're resurfacing or repaving or redoing the driveway, you're able to do that without, because you're not increasing that surface. So there's thresholds, whether it's new or whether it's.
probably we should put them in their driveway
Well, wait.
improvement,
Wait.
improvement.
but wait, but because a lot of these homes don't have driveway, that's part of the issue. They just have gravel or like where, you know, that was allowed, so why are we staying away from it? Because it needs a permit, because it takes a long time? I mean, yet it comes in 3 years, I think, it takes 3 months to get a permit, but it's done. In my opinion, it's worth it, it's game changing.
Yeah, it's true.
You get cars out of the street, it's a significant improvement.
Further to all that and.
They don't take it.
Nobody takes it.
So we need to vote on each one.
Do passage, what do you take out?
So with, I'm looking with landscaping, we are like, we don't allow for sprinkler system because again, the money didn't go a long way. And then also we recommended that they use like, native plants or whatever that can survive out there without a sprinkler system.
Not possible. I'm just saying, exactly,
Want to keep it in there? It's good.
It's gonna make it clear if.
you don't
If
have
they.
$1,200. It's not that expensive. I look for it.
Oh, we're in. I gotta talk to your answer. Me too.
Maybe this is something to consider, so let's say I'm in property owner, $10,000. So my house is still kind of stained and dirty and under landscaping. Should we make like, okay, you're required to at least paint your house? And then the other stuff, or just let them, cause they can just take time.
I would ask a different driveway. I would ask a question, I would ask a different question. Could they come back in another, like, if we have funds unused, like, could they come back later and do another project? Cause driveways could take the whole thing, but a driveway is a huge advance, huge improvement to the whole business. I think these, other than paint, biggest change, there's not a lot of driveways in our neighborhood. I know you've driven through there, but like, not a lot of driveways.
No.
My concern is we have $150,000.
Yeah, 15 potential,
And now we're telling people to go back to the well, and I understand, we don't have this, I'm right from there, but we're asking them to go back to the well. And I understand the driveways, I got it. But the house is still dang ugly. I don't care what you do. You can put a driveway in, make it as beautiful as you want, if the house is ugly, your neighborhood, your value of your neighborhood is still down. No one, by valuing a driveway doesn't have anything to do with it. So that's something we need to consider when we're talking about, we want to improve the neighborhood. I get that a lot of people don't have driveways, but if you've got that ugly house with shutters falling off of it and paint peeling off the house, you got a pretty driveway. That's it, and landscaping.
So maybe the driveway can't do the project?
Right.
Can we have to remove, because if you do, I mean, you might have to remove some trees there, the area to beautify the area because some of the trees are not in good condition. They might be rough. They might be well cut.
So a lot of mature trees in our neighborhood, one of the neighbors has a tree that's 50 foot, right? He can't afford to trim it. So it's
4,700.
right, it could be $5,000, yes. Yes, to trim a tree like that.
Why was that on there? Is it just because that's like routine maintenance they don't pay for?
I don't know, is there a reason why that was left out?
It doesn't go far, right? It's very expensive. It can be very expensive. The regular removal or trimming of like hedges and stuff, that's included in regular landscape, but
Yeah.
like a tree that's really big, you need somebody that.
Yeah.
Palms twice a year, $1,300 for 5 palms. That's, yes, people understand, $1,300 for 5 palms.
Eliminate that, say $1,000.
We can do that.
So that we, something like that. Because there's some trees that in their yard that they just have stuff and the tree died and if they don't have them. And then when you're doing the landscape, yes, you're able to really verify the stuff is sitting that's there and finally the cost. Landscape is gonna cost. I mean, if we can just put some kind of money towards removal of the tree, not the whole 4,000, but
I think you're gonna go at least to 2,000, because 1,000 not.
go to 4,000, at least put some kind of money in that bucket so that way they have.
Landscape.
Yeah, can you just add like remove, we're already at $2,000.
And backyard landscape.
Backyard,
No, we're not, no,
So that.
Really personalized tree. So it would be a little less, maybe.
Okay.
Very, program.
Or just trim it.
Connected in. Would you consider that, yeah, or something like that. That,
but nuisance trees need arborists to determine that. For sure, but, which is fine, just, we have to think about that, but I would say maybe we take out the removal. Definitely trimming. The trimming is what I think I see people that are elderly, they just don't have money to trim their tree that's been there for 30 years.
$1,350. No. But you gotta have a draw and find those trees.
So I think sprinkler is yes or no?
The one?
Sprinkler.
So I think we should allow for sprinklers because if I'm not mistaken, in our program way it is, people can only benefit from the landscaping program if they have a sprinkler system. And they don't have a sprinkler system.
Can they take advantage of like? Water.
So I think we should include installation of sprinkler systems. We should also include dry scaping is the dry scaping.
But dry scaping included, like, yeah.
Oh, it is.
But sprinkler system, so you're, yeah.
To, yeah, to think, it's just open up.
Okay, so sprinkler system, yes, driveway gate, again.
So we're keeping
it.
Yeah.
Okay. The driveway gate, yeah.
Sorry, she's asking the right question, taking it off the non-eligible. Making it eligible.
Okay.
There, you can see, cars landscape. Three. We're gonna leave driveway, we're gonna take, only thing we're taking off, Karen, is that I'm seeing right now, is backyard landscaping goes. Removal of trees, part goes. And fencing should be just painting fence as front, why do we call it?
Is it like improvements to existing fencing? Right, so improvements have to be permitted?
if you, this thing.
So we could say improvements to the fence that do not require permitting. So you don't have to get a permit to paint or repair little pieces.
Fence improvement, that's good.
I have a thought hearing everybody. And it sounds like to me that each applicant needs to have a representative in the city to assess what they need that will fit the criteria for the 10,000. Like, like if they need some improvement on the driveway paving, or if they need to just get it paved and get painted. So it just strikes me as though people need a little guidance into what might be a priority and in addition to what might be acceptable for this and qualify for.
It's not a requirement in the program, are you suggesting that somebody look at their front yard side and
I think it's a good idea. She's saying, are you saying you don't wanna set people free to just do whatever, you wanna give them guidance?
I think people definitely need like someone to assess, help them assess what they need, to talk about it, to have a conversation. Because what they think is a priority really may not fit into our guidelines as we.
And who would that be?
Yeah.
Who would that person be, do you suggest?
Good question.
Yeah, because, as far as staff is concerned, CJ handles the bulk of the work.
Sure.
So as far as somebody sitting down to engage in this conversation, who's going to be that person? Is kind of.
If it's just up to 15 people per year, and it's a one-time conversation, I'm not thinking, I'm just saying, is it practical to expect someone to give them advice?
So that means, because that means that the staff would have to then physically go to that person's house to visibly see and give suggestions and have this conversation.
Yeah,
I think that.
Yeah,
that's the department? Find out if possible,
yeah.
but then pulling be part of our program.
May I say?
Yeah.
I think it's Brett Inland, but aren't we trying to make this process easier? So we're adding one more thing, one more person, and I'm gonna tell you, if I was a citizen, you come to my house, I'm gonna say, I'm doing it, it's my house, I do it my way, or I won't take your money. I think it will hinder people from taking the money. Because people are very independent and and especially when we're talking about some of the elderly people and investors here. I do think it's a good idea, but I think that we're trying to simplify the process. And I know, because I deal with Caesar all the time, what she does besides just this, along with all the other CRAs and everything, and what Vanessa does, it's a lot. And I just think that we're just adding one more thing into the process. I think we just have to let them go at it, and look, you know what? If I have 15 people that do anything, I'm gonna be happy with this process. Honestly, because in 3 years, we can't even get 15 people to do anything. That's just my opinion.
I totally agree with everything you said for exact same reasons, but people who could be doing that could be the neighborhood associations. Because other than your neighbors, they can have a friendly conversation and nobody teaches you about code compliance, but once you get that notice, then you learn. So I feel like this will be like an organic learning the same way.
Well, can we point them can we point them to the, civic associations, like officially? Like, is this a way to draw people into the civic association? Because right now, we're talking about things that really are civic association priorities. So like, once they apply, we can say, hey, and here's your civic association if you want some advice. And I'm sure somebody in the civic association will show up. Call me, I'll fill up. Oh, I'm just going to, that in a minute.
So do you want to make motions on?
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question. So when a person, first applies, I'm just trying to, better understand the beginning of the process. If you're interested in it, you apply. And like, she was saying, and you don't understand, like, okay, what you qualify for, you're not qualified. Is there anyone available? Is there like a website where you apply and then it looks, the feedback, what, an email or
It's a
something?
website, yes.
So who would they email or?
Me, she can
Okay,
find
so,
me.
okay, so I think that's what will happen, like maybe if they can email you and say, hey, I have a few more questions. This is what I have, here, what I want to do, and then they go from there, so they can process the application a little bit better. And then we can get more thorough application in the pipeline, instead of having an application in and then they're like, oh, you're not qualified for this, you're not qualified for that. They can already ask you from the beginning.
Yes.
So they put in an application, they're like, okay, so yeah, I want to do this and this and this, and you can always say, okay, we don't have that, but we have this. So like they already know in the beginning, before they start quoting or anything, they're in the beginning.
Do you have the possibility on the website to actually add websites of civic associations instead of directing people to call you? I don't even know if you have one, but it might help to.
You can direct it to us as well. That's great. We can appoint somebody from the civic associations to take those calls that are helping them at stage,
Yeah, we have.
whether it's static stage.
I can help you with yours too.
Yeah. Civic associations, we do have a relationship with our code compliance officer, so if there, we can call on the code compliance officer to fill it out, and that's a part of their daily job, supporting us, so I think there's multiple ways, I think it feels like we're kind of in a little silo trying to solve a problem by ourselves, and how can we just lean on all of the pillars here? So we were talking about the list though.
Yeah, now, if someone can make a motion of what that we want to propose.
So I move that we add all of the non-eligible expense items except removal of trees and backyard landscaping to the eligible expenses list. With one clarification, that fencing will be allowed. Fencing improvements will be allowed if they are superficial. What do we say? Superficial
In the front.
in the front of it.
Can we have lighting? Let's see.
And adding exterior lighting, front of the house, fixed to the building and landscaping.
Do I have a second? Have other discussion? Most seconds. Just do another, all in favor? Opposed, staying, all there. All right, Stacey, you're done.
Okay.
Stacey, good.
You bring those back, the reason.
That was supposed to be clearance, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. The next one here, she can, or Chris, they might know more than I do.
Oh, yeah, and
It's just, oh, well, she told me to talk louder, so I'll stand. So, we're just gonna talk about the health bill 991. I don't know if you know what that is.
right. You know, I don't know, give them a little, why were this important to us?
Right, so the House Bill 991 is a proposed law that ultimately would like eliminate or limit the CRs, right? So yes, because of concerns of misuse of funds. So that's a snap.
In what time?
Well, see, this is where we are, so so on Friday, we did get like an all delete amendment. However, we did get a notification today that there were changes to that. So it's ever changing. I think back a couple weeks ago, our main concern was that, we won't be able to. That was one of eliminations. But there are some that we have listed here. But I would suggest that we kind of revisit this again, to go into detail, because I got a page today, but there were some markouts and additions to the discussion today. But that's just what's going on with this area right now. Friday, it was a positive outlook, but we just want to make sure that everything is.
Yeah. One clarification that I have this, we have this committee as of now, I mean, or any current CRAs, this has until like, look at that, 45, that's more than 20 years on that, but we'll look at it later. And I don't know if that's changed, new CRAs are being sunsetted out under the law. Since that changed, that was one of my concerns, because I've been following this bill since it started and talking to my legislators. And my understanding, Chris, there will be no more CRAs under these new bills as of October, which to me is a concern for our communities if there's nothing of these type of mechanisms in place. Right?
Yeah, so it's ever changing. So there's two bills. So the way the state works, for those that don't know, there's usually a House bill and a Senate bill. So they'll go back and forth. So right now, the House bill, the last committee it was in, the committee tabled the bill. So essentially what that means is it's on a shelf, they put it away. So it's not necessarily a House bill that's active right now. The Senate bill is active though. So there's been a lot of changes, as Vanessa mentioned, to that Senate bill, and they've heard it today. I don't know what the outcome was. We'll spend a little preoccupied. I haven't found the update on that, but the version that was amended that Vanessa mentioned Friday included some provisions to allow current CRAs to continue. It limited the ability to extend or retract the boundaries of existing CRAs. It limits the things that CRAs can spend money on. A lot of it festivals, things of that nature, which we typically don't do here. There were some secrets there. Yeah. In terms of the impact to the Central City CRA, there's not a lot of impact, other than there might not be opportunities to extend that CRA
At the end.
Expiration date of the sunset date. For the Northwest Progressive Heights CRA, though, there are some significant applications for CRA to extend that CRA. Both in terms of timing as well as if there was any consideration to retract those boundaries to exclude areas that are currently included. So, you know, in the long term, it's up in the air whether or not things progress. As I said, the House bill is being tabled is a big impediment to anything happening, but anything can happen between now and first week in May, so we'll keep tracking it.
Is that what session's out?
It is. It's
Does that mean you live to fight another 6?
Yeah. Better, but nothing's over till it's over.
I think my concern, how does it affect the CRA with, it says cannot start any new, this CRA for any new projects as of October 25. Saying, me, it's something that's not done or started, such as.
Take it out.
Was that taken out? That's my big concern.
They're supposed to, the only, I guess, negative would be the inability, Chris said, but for current series, it's sent through the expiration date. But it's, I have to.
My concern-
Day.
Initiating new projects. That was very, from my studies, that was very vague as to what they're initiating a current CRA doing new projects. And we have a lot of stuff, but we have just now started really making progress. So that my concern is, where is this and what is it?
So the list I had Friday as of Friday afternoon. The Senate bill as amended removes the requirement for CRAs that are terminated by 2045, or removed the ban on creating new CRAs. But it does require the CRA boards are composed of elected city officials and allows the employment of an additional individual to serve on a 7-member board. Prohibits changing CRA boundaries. CRAs may not add or remove land from their current boundaries. Prohibits CRA funding for hotels and bank facilities, as well as concerts, festivals, holiday events, parade activities, and requires CRAs to sunset on a date identified in the CRA plan for completion of redevelopment And completion of redevelopment, it's funded by increment revenue.
And we're talking, that introduced Chris Cooper, because, no, he is our this city manager. Okay, or he gets. But, yes. Thank you. I thought they need to be updating what it's about. And I'm sure most people didn't know this was going on. I didn't know we had it. Trust me, some of the stuff I heard through some of the things I've seen in television and some of the shows and some of the public information.
Neighborhood initiative. Gave, let's get Alliance $20,000 for their, event on the street. We've been to that event, like the cars.
The bars and everything, yeah.
We stopped because of.
And
I would rather people being here from my. Personal reason.
Okay, I think we can get out of here before.
before,
On your last page, well, I'm sorry, go ahead. We'll do that then. I think there's,
any communication to city commission? There's none. I don't think we have any communication to the commission. Oh, there is an update from the city commission from the meeting I was at last month, and I forgot to bring up. They did approve our voting rules that were put up. So we do have those in place, the ones that we asked the city to commission to approve. They did approve those. I forgot to tell you that. So that's.
yeah, you'll have your meeting in August,
August.
and I think they said it doesn't have to be city stuff, does it?
Does not have to be city staff.
Yeah. Well,
Just have to be a third party.
they just, okay, I can.
Can we get a formal language? Oh, I guess.
Okay, moving on to old business.
Old business, you had something in there?
Page 33, is there anything on here that you have any questions on? I do know the event, the capital improvement master plan consultant, we have 5, we received 5 bids or proposals. And we scheduled a selection committee meeting next month. After that meeting, once they select somebody, then it goes to the CRA Board of Commissioners for approval and City Commission. So at least we have somebody. They won't do the commission.
The city commission did, at the same meeting, did approve Call of Africa.
Oh, they did, yeah. So we're in the contract execution phase.
That's good. Yeah. Our, the street lights, we're still having issues with 4th Avenue, they're pending, you just talked to me.
Oh, this is on.
It's for the street lights.
That's number 5, it's
Number
actually
5.
on May 6th, not June.
Oh, okay.
Right, so as soon as the contract's approved, they sign it, then we'll get a schedule and we'll share it with you. That'll be done way before December. All they're doing is purchasing the lights with them.
And for everyone that we've heard about the street lights closing the streets, it's with FPL and department. So it's out of our hands. So if anyone wants to ask you, you know, it's there, we've done our job, it's now in the great FPL of this.
What's going on with the land use RFP? What did we discuss last meeting and I?
Yeah. Seizure.
Oh, yeah, procurement withdrew it. The RFQ requires a licensed engineering firm to do the work. And then for the type of work that we're asking for, we don't need anyone licensed engineer to do it.
So you rebuilt it?
Well, we pulled it and then it had to be off the streets for a month. And she said she could probably put it out next week. She's reviewing it again. It was purely because of that. So once we put it out again, we'll get a more pool of potential applicants.
What was?
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna ask about time, because we talked about going out to the RFQ for this, like sometime in early 2024. So what was why did it take until January? Is there something that I missed? Like what was in the bid package? What is in the new bid? That's my real question.
There's nothing new. I thought they do strip that requirement and just figure it out. Then I was
How long does it have to be open?
30 days.
Okay. So by like summer.
Next
we should
week it'll
be
go out.
looking at- Okay. Also, they were getting this. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The, and we did go to Northeast Sixth, which we,
12th Street?
Wall Street,
It's a paving.
paving, yes,
Right there.
really nice.
It is like.
Nice, finished job, it was really a nice job. Yeah, it's really nice. Good job.
Yeah. We're still working on the commercial safety and security enhancement program.
Yeah.
The Andrews Avenue Improvement Corridor, that's a Broward County project, or no, wait, DOT project. And I talked to them and it didn't seem like they're gonna come out for another presentation with, at this point. They explained it in a way that they gathered the feedback and they've already done the work they needed and next time they go out, they'll kill the design. So I'm just following up with them to get that Zoom date, because it's gonna be a virtual meeting. They mentioned a couple of meetings that you went out to and the other folks.
The real synopsis for those who want to know about it, and I can just give you a little rundown on it. Bike lanes, new overheads, new right of ways, widening of walks, traffic calming is basically what it's gonna be. It's gonna go from sunrise, sunrise all the way to Oakland Park. Yeah. So, yeah, that whole area is going to be traffic. There's gonna actually be crosswalks over there with actual crosswalks. There will be some, not as many turns, so people have to go down a bit further to make the U-turns they're saying. But it's a really nice project and it actually is happening. The funds have been procured. So this is not a pipe dream maybe whenever. This is actual project that is going to happen.
What is it planning and timing? That's happening.
It is the state.
The meeting they had.
New lights, everything.
Part of this community safety and security. They, security enhancement, they did for 15th Avenue, and they had the maps up. Then it came down to Lake Ridge and presented to us, the transportation, coordinator, she came down and she showed us the map, how they're going to be doing the 15th Avenue, so, yeah.
What's the different project?
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah. 50.
So basically, it's connected with the, they're gonna be working on that space. The. Yeah. So they created that same concept of the speed bumps and everything. That's, so I guess the funding has been put in place.
Yeah.
Any miscellaneous you guys can find on?
It's gone.
Hurricane season.
Curating. Oh, yeah.
You don't want that.
Whole nother conversation.
From my understanding, the sculpture's gone, the concrete base is solid and usable. Good, so that's an understanding. So I don't think that's gonna have to be an issue, because it was concrete and I think everyone was wood around it. That person you're there, so you're more involved. But from what I've gotten gathered from the project, because I've been trying to follow everything for you myself, is the structure was taken down, the wood base was off, but the concrete that it sits on was solid and has a solid foundation. So they can be able to use that, which will cost less money than what they thought.
Well, what about the table around the,
Okay.
it was, and this isn't a CRA issue, it's just an issue with the roundabout, the way it was. Look at it, because Like whatever's shelf off of it, it's like 5 foot or something, so you have big trucks, like they have to slow down. Yes, it moves out into the street, so
Why is that?
Tractor trailers,
it makes the traffic back up.
Yeah, they should.
to go through. Why traffic is why? If 13th Street is allowed to through.
I think the conversation, now I'm gonna like, I remember, is that it was designed,
Investigate
it's
something.
much larger than it typically would be. The circle, and then there's another shelf off of it, that's like 5 more foot, so you got people like driving up on the curb a lot, like you can see the curbs are all black, because
Yeah.
the school bus, everything hits it, even I mean, I've hit it a few times, because it's really awkward, so I think it was just a question. Patient, look at that and make sure whatever, whoever's in charge of that,
I promise you 8 o'clock.
yeah.
So number 12, miscellaneous committee meeting. May meeting is like literally this week. Maybe it's not this week.
Maybe it's 2 weeks. I would like the thoughts, do we need a meeting in 2 weeks or can we postpone it to June? When is our June meeting? I know it's actually.
Our June meeting is June 4th. I don't know why the last meeting you all discussed
Yeah,
rescheduling.
because I won't be here June 4th, and so we need to choose a date, we want to choose a date.
Now, if you're not here, Antoinette can run the meeting.
Can,
If we don't have a quorum. We have a quorum, we can spend it. Or if you're both not.
it,
Oh,
yes, but he wants to be here.
So maybe we can.
For everybody else.
And maybe it's not. That one, you guys okay with that meeting?
Yeah. Okay.
Like a big-
It works for me.
Okay, June. Can we look at
Send us
dates
some dates.
for June?
What dates that I gave you?
You're gonna say,
An email. You know, too many emails from a month ago. It's June 11, June 12, or June 16.
okay, with the 11th one.
What day of the week is
Yeah.
the 11th?
Wednesday.
Good with all three?
Okay. Just read it. We're on to you, apparently. Ed. We don't need to be-
What did you say? This could change. It should be fine. It's gotta be in your.
I fully got it.
So Wednesday is June,
Okay.
Wednesday,
That 11th.
Thursday. June 11.
11th, fine,
11th is okay, next, the following Wednesday?
yeah.
And
Everyone's-
you're okay with the 11th?
Second Wednesday.
Linda, you're okay with the second Wednesday?
I'm not sure I'll be here in June.
Tuesday.
No, we meet at the end of the week.
Nicola, you're okay?
Okay, so everyone, okay, okay.
Don't forget.
You can name,
Sure, said he was okay.
Jason is available.
That is.
He had,
Yeah.
Linda's gonna be going home. That's fine.
Cool.
Okay. I'll just, before we adjourn, maybe a minute over, I'm gonna take just 2 minutes. I'll talk to Tisha and Chris and I'll vote, just to let everyone know, that as we all know, I want to give an update. We voted to move forward with the zoning. The zoning has been moved, it's with legal, correct? Chris, actually, give us an update on where we're at.
Dropping base.
Yes, we're in the phase of drafting the actual language based on the recommendations that this committee provided to staff. The next official step is your planning and zoning board, which is likely gonna be in August. So we have to, and we would anyway, but we'll do our public participation meetings as well, so staff will be reaching out, whether or not we do one big meeting and invite all the affected associations to one big meeting, or maybe 1 or 2 small meetings, we haven't determined yet, but we'll we'll do that prior to that board meeting, so there'll be some additional opportunities for input. As a board, you know, your participation in those meetings is somewhat limited in terms of board saying these types of things going forward, potentially coming back to you at some point, but you can certainly attend those meetings and be part of that in that way, but that's the schedule that we're looking at right.
And with that said, it has been brought to my attention that there's going to be proposals made about the rezoning, or not rezoning, the plan and trying to get agreement. I want to remind people that, as Chris said, there's an association meeting tomorrow night, and it's coming to it, that you can't participate. You know, you can listen, but as attorney said last time, and Joanne was very clear to me on a call, that it is much better when the discussion is being made, it's going to be brought back to you to leave. The implications that can be made of decisions, and it is very easy to be drawn into a conversation that not to be there, then you can't say or you said something. And remember, when you are meeting with someone, if you meet with someone, you meet with their opinion and their thoughts and not the board's. And be very conscious of that. We've had some issues that the city attorney's been involved in recently, and I don't want that happening to us moving forward. And I got notification that I had a ribbon cutting ceremony. I just want everyone to be aware that that's what's happening, and I'm all for, like, we're for support everyone's opinion and thoughts, but we've made our decision, we've moved it forward, and at that point, it's only, and I'm sure it's going to come back to us at some point, but we just need to be aware of those things. I need to make you aware so that in the future.
Okay, I had a meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I was told what he is proposing.
You can tell them.
Okay. And it's more of a setback and that type of thing, and also a change in what is given for the total height. Okay. I mentioned that the South Middle River Civic Association will listen, but will not respond. That was my comment about it. So he's going to speak. But- I'm sorry,
There will be no discussion.
there will be no discussion.
Thank you.
Is that feasible? Is that a problem?
I mean, you do it, the
Well, I obviously can't participate in a description of it. And neither can the other two here. So I've made it sort of clear that that's, you know, you can present it, but that's it.
And the last thing I'll say with that, this board has made, and it's been made clear, my understanding to the city, I've been able to conversations, you know, the vice mayor, that we thought we're taking the commission of their straight zoning through this process. This board has made its recommendations, and any suggested changes that can be made, not back here, it's out of our hands. It moves forward through the process through permitted zoning. Those discussions and those things can be had at planning and zoning, at hearings of communities and planning and zoning. Those are when the places will be brought up. So you're right, it can be discussion, but as far as we're concerned, we've made our vote, we've made our motions, we've moved it forward to planning and zoning. If it
And I
comes back
mentioned
to
it
us
that way.
at that time, then we can discuss. But in my opinion, there's nothing else this board can do until it moves through the process. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Okay. Just wanted to make that clear because I don't want us in a situation we were 2 months ago. Because we're moving forward, get stuff done. Any comments or any, thank you, Ed, for bringing that up.
What meeting?
This is a South Middle River Civic Association, membership meeting.
Yeah.
And
And what board member brought, present the plan that adds that to the board.
My own concern is, as independent residents to bring up evidence is valuable in the right venues. And so it sounds fair. I think the no discussion thing makes sense. If there happens to be discussion, and we know what we have to do. I think
But I want to agree with this going forward in our association and maybe going forward in your associations. And to be aware and to be careful because these are the rules that you have to participate by as we went through them and made sure, and I got clarification again. When I found out of the weekends, no problem talking to anyone, but it is participating in the meeting. So.
Just a confirmation, there have been no changes since our vote?
No.
Okay.
Chris says it's all moving through.
Great.
it's already been taken forward.
Yeah.
yeah, in a minute.
Wow.
She wanted a copy as well.
Yeah, another, yeah. All right, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second it. All in favor? Opposed? And we got a.
Thank you. You start. You got, okay. Such a mother. And I know. I don't know. Lifetime thing, they don't tell you that when you're young, you know, it's kept in. It is. It's so it's terrible. Like, it's still pervasive. It is like a long night. Uh-oh. The other day, I ran on. She, but I didn't. Great. Thank you.
What?
There is. You have to say that. We don't have to get it.
Very good and well rested.
Good job.
That's always.
Well, you know, to lay back.
Code is pushed to take them back to each other. So there's a list. What he was supposed to be. We think that any other person now. We don't to it, and I mean, really do bring so much. It's already the first thing. Like that. We're talking with me here. I mean, serious. Got a general question. So, it's not.
One invitation.
And then the water.
Yeah, like if they need a law. Instead of working with the community.
I did too. Let's just.
So we can go take the board.
Well, I don't know. So you know, Michael, better. He's different from my class at home.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah. All right, I'm glad to have you. Think we have you like Rich, did we? I think it was received. Was run by. Well, then I'll look it up. No, there's.
Yes.
We have a low bridge. Yeah. That roof is supposed to be. Yeah. Ireland and Scotland and. Right. Yeah, I'm going to go because I can speak international conference. Goes to you. So. Yeah. 60 days. So.
But. So. Maybe you just gonna. I swear I saw somebody go. But. Spent 3 days, for 3 days. 3 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So much of it will be more. Want to go to the. Healthcare area. So when you live on the golf, it's just so much. It's a really. There's a place called the Bell. We did teach. You could learn. Yeah. It was really cool. There's a cool bar and stuff there I didn't do, but we can walk in and get the Easter. Yeah, you'll love it. Great. Yeah, I'm going to Scotland. I figured I want to spend 4 days in Scotland.
Okay.
And then we're going to, then I'm going to. I was gonna speak and then I was just 10 days and speak. You can, they start doubling.